Hello, Scott here, aka Captain Bob, aka Dr. Kirshner. Thought it'd be a good idea early on here to give you sort of a tour of the major assignments of the course. This is a speech course, so there'll be speeches. There are three major speeches, starting with the demonstration speech. Demonstration speech is simply a process speech. It's a way for you to show us how to do something. So you can just take something out of your existing knowledge base that you do all the time and walk us through it. 5-minute speech. Visual aids and source citations are not required, though you may want to choose to use some sort of visual aids. You won't be graded for those. The second major speech is the informative speech. Again, you can take something out of your existing knowledge base if you want, but you're going to need to do some legitimate academic research to back up whatever it is you're going to be talking about. For this speech, it's also 5 minutes, and you will be required to provide 3 citations. They need to be provided orally in your speech. You will also provide in-text and bibliographic citations on your outlines. Visual aids are also required. 2 different mediums. Now we're going to talk a little bit more about what that means a little bit later in the course. The source citations with your second and third speech that are required, they have to be legitimate academic sources, peer-reviewed academic journal articles. And again, we're going to talk more about what that is, and I'll tell you how to get to those. But you need to sort of keep that in mind, that this speech, the second and third speech, need to take an academic tone. The final speech is a persuasive speech. That's a 7-minute speech. And a lot of times students will go, oh my God, what am I going to speak about for 7 minutes? And then what they find is that they're so passionate about this final speech because it is a persuasive speech. You're going to be trying to talk us into or out of something. That it'll be difficult for you to scrunch it all down into 7 minutes. Now, for all 3 of these major speeches, I'm good. I'm going to give you a minute window for time. That means I'm good for 30 seconds on either side of the target time. So, using the first 2 speeches as an example, they're 5 minutes. I'm good if you're between 4 minutes and 30 seconds and 5 minutes and 30 seconds. We're good. Otherwise, it's going to cost you points. I'm especially not happy if you go over significantly because at that point, then you're sort of holding your audience, and that's me, hostage while you kind of ramble. So we got to make sure and practice temporal integrity on these speeches and stay within the time limits. That final persuasive speech, there will be an informative part of that because you got to give us enough information to provide context for whatever it is you're trying to persuade us. And again, you're going to get more details about these speeches as we move along. But that final speech, it's 3 visual aids, 2 mediums, and it's 4 academic citations. So those are the major speeches. Now we're going to move on and talk about the outlines. Each one of these speeches, you're required to provide both a first draft and a final draft outline. I'm providing examples for these outlines for you. They need to be written in APA format. If you follow the example, that will be APA format. The times that those will be required, that's all wired into the shell. And then also for each of the major speeches, you have to watch these yourself and provide a self-evaluation of your performance. And that's not going to be as painful as you may think. But you do need to watch these, and then the instructions for that self-evaluation are wired into the shell. Also, you will be evaluating 4 of your colleagues. Now, your evaluations of your colleagues are not going to affect their grades. It's just a way for your colleagues to get feedback from someone other than the old professor here. Again, those instructions are provided in the shell, and I'll tell you how to get those to each other. One of the biggest parts of this course are the discussion boards. You guys, please look very closely at the grading rubric for that. These discussions need to take an academic tone. It's not for just academic, or I should say, anecdotal or platitudes to your colleagues. You need to really talk and speak in an academic tone using the terms and concepts from the textbook. And please make sure that you do more than the minimum so that you can gather all of the points and then help us provide a sense of like an in-class discussion. So besides the speeches, the outlines, and the discussion boards, there are chapter quizzes. They're not weighted very heavily. They're mostly to hold you guys accountable for doing the reading. Please do the reading, you guys, because that reading is a data point that will help you better understand why you're doing what you're doing on these speeches and what all that means. And then, what I really strongly recommend to all students early, in the semester is that take a little bit of time and review the entire shell. Now, I'm not saying that you got to go through and memorize everything, but if you walk through the shell early on and you have a better, at least a brief understanding or cursory understanding of these assignments, it'll help you figure out how to better manage your time throughout the semester. This is especially important as you move into these the second and third speech. Like, you'll notice that there's research requirements for these, and if you review the assignment, you'll notice that, and then you'll figure out how much time you need to spend on each of these speeches. So that's sort of a brief overview of the course. I strongly recommend and encourage you guys to contact me throughout the semester if you need to have phone conversations. I really like chatting with you guys over the phone. I'm hoping that you can use each other as resources throughout the course, but also I'm here for you. I'm not just like absent. Anyway, let's get cracking.